What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Bloomin' Onions favorite nerd. And today we're looking at the Fanstoys Aussie, their take on Outback. And can we just give a moment to the Australians for those loaded cheese fries from Outback with the ranch? Because that hits different. What a wonderful Australian contribution to modern pop culture. Now, if you hear that noise upstairs, I recently got a puppy. Maybe I'll intercut some footage over here.
Mary. She's not the brightest.
But she is playing, so forgive any extra sound effects. Anyway, I got this from Nick the Toy Guy, an outstanding dude, an outstanding person to do business with. His email is in the description if you are so inclined to hit him up for Fanstoys products, especially if you're on the East Coast, because he's going to save you some time in shipping, as he is a fellow East Coaster. With that being said, we're going to take a look at this guy, but in order to do so, we need to start with accessories. So he comes with an alternate head sculpt with the big smiling face, which is actually appreciated because the regular face I have some issues with, which we'll get to when we get to the figure. But it's painted with the pearlescent white and then the silver lens. So he comes with a gun. It is painted completely, which is nice to see. The handle can collapse and that bit kind of spins, but for no real reason other than probably just connectivity. But yeah, nice enough. And he holds it on a groove system sliding into the palm of his hand. That gun with the handle flipped down can also just tab into the top there. Very nice. He also comes with Megatron's sort of fusion cannon. I'm guessing that this is that thing from that episode. I don't really recall it. This does go on here somehow, some way. But it can fit on Megatron. And that you can also light it up, like it has a light up feature. That's the button right there. Obviously I don't have the batteries. And if you just take this off and then open that up, that's where the batteries go, which I do like, because I feel like sometimes like with these toys it's so obnoxious to kind of get the batteries to go in service, and like it's nice that it was kind of a user-friendly experience. Speaking of user-friendly experiences, he can also kind of put this on his shoulder, and even this piece right here can kind of sit, once you have it sat in, it can kind of sit like in this groove here, but it's kind of it's a balancing act, I feel like, but it works well enough, I think. All right, so let's talk about the figure and let's get in tight for Dennis, so to speak. So the head sculpt looks good with the exception of the mouth. The mouth has a little bit of a softer sculpt to it, which makes the mouth kind of more difficult to identify and sort of understand like where it starts and stops a little bit, in my opinion. The white is painted well, the silver is painted well. My only issue other than that is that it looks like to me where this white piece is connected, that's how you switch out the faces, by the way, that this white head, so to speak, should rotate independently off of this box. But mine, I don't know if it's so tight or what, but it does not want to budge. And it's sitting off center as it is right now. So like, it's kind of a bummer in that regard. Paint looks good. Moving on to the arm, we have a universal joint, die cast joint there. You can rotate it up to 90 degrees. You can rotate it down, and then you can get the 360 around. You have a bicep swivel, a single hinged elbow that gets you 90 degrees, a wrist swivel, and the fingers are on a base pin knuckle with tight writer fingers. But given the scale that it's a smaller figure, I'm kind of more so okay with that. All right. I think that's it. The arm is fully painted white, and then it has the beige paint on the side. Moving on to the torso, it's a kind of metallic flecked brown. It's one of the better looking paint aspects of the figure, and then we have the silver and blue accents added on there, and then all of the buttons kind of on his pelvis down there. You also get a waist swivel. I have the legs up, but since we're there, we'll go ahead and talk about that. So these legs do hinge down. And I'm not sure if I don't like that better. I'm going to mess with it a little bit. We'll go ahead and back out. But like, I don't know. I don't know if I like it a little bit better. But the proper way is to hinge them up. When he comes in box, they're hinged down and his waist is spun 360. You can also get the waist spun 360 if you drop a leg. So if you wanted to cheat for articulation purposes, you could, which is interesting. Otherwise, it's supposed to be up. But like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Joint-wise, it's basically a disc, but it operates as a universal. You drop it down, and you'll be able to get it out. I'm also scratching paint on it, which is a bummer. So that gets you 360. And then that gets you, you know, almost the, 360. That gets you the full Van Damme. And that gets you almost the full Monty, but more than you would ever need. Rotating that back up, it's stable. It is not stable. Rotate it down, so that's another, you know, bummer of it. But like I said, that's not its intention. Thigh swivel, knee hinge, single hinge, and it's also like, I guess it's fine. I guess it works better when the hips are stabilized. But you kind of wish it had a ratchet in it. Same with the hips, though, to be fair. Alrighty, so then we have ankles. Nothing really. You just get the toes. So you get a rocker that's basically just a cheat, but I think it ultimately works okay. I would have liked an ankle tilt up, though. And then there he is from the back. I have a problem with these legs kind of coming undone. There's a little bit of flop to this guy, like a floppy element. But not the worst in the world. But like, see, like the weight of his knee is like, I don't know, just some ratchets would have fixed all that. But yeah, other than that, pretty good. So size comparison wise, there he is with his mold mate, you know, which is obviously a pretty drastic retool, and the Badcube version. And, you know, I think he works well enough, right? But I do want to show real quick, if you allow me, that, like, you know, when you extend him, like, I mean, maybe the proportions don't work as well, but, like, he's a goofy-looking robot anyway, and it adds a little bit more spice and variety where it looks even less like the original mold. I'm not saying I'm committed one way or the other, but I think it is something to look at. The only issue, like I said, and I didn't show it, so let me go ahead and show it now. The only issue is that, like, it lacks a lot of stability in this positioning, which is like, you know, with Fanstoys, you expect the tight, almost squeaky, you know, too tight joints. And I'll be honest with you, I also understand what it's like to get something and have it, you know, not be what you expect. Recently, Robert D bought me a $200, I believe, toothpick dispenser. That Darth Vader is the person that dispenses the toothpick for you. My wife tried it out to limited results, or successful results anyway.
What? Dana! Dana, don't tell her good girl, or she's gonna attack you next. Literally trying to find a way out. Oh! Eat her!
Now, to be fair, Robert thinks it's just because we have the wrong kind of toothpicks that you need one that's kind of blunted or, you know, not pointy on one end. So he responded by buying me and shipping to me, I think, 15,000 of those types of toothpicks or something. So I'll have to find a place to store all of those. Anyway, there he is with Starling. So let's get him transformed. And, you know, I just went right by their kind of instructional video. But if you rotate at the bicep so that the elbow is facing up, and then rotate this so the windows are facing up, I believe. Same on this side. Rotate so that the elbow is facing up, and then I'm not sure which way the hand's supposed to go, honestly. And then rotate so that the windows are facing up. Disengage the backpack, and then rotate this whole shoulder assembly up, and then in, and you're going to want to do it in a manner that allows you to plug the elbows into one another. And then you can kind of sit it more flat along the bottom. I think the hands go like this. I will double check that. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure it matters either, but that's what you're looking for there. Now let's prep the backpack. You want to open this up, and you want to flip this piece out, and then you want to spin that 180, and then you want to sit that together. Spin this back around, flip this piece down on the head, rotate this like the winch, and then rotate the entire proper head canopy so that it sits like that, and then bring this out, bring these around so that we're just sort of building the top of the vehicle. All right, now let's prep the legs. So rotate them out. You want to rotate the toe and then flip that in so that the top of the foot is now facing the bottom of the leg. And then you want to rotate the thigh. No, I'm sorry. Hold on, let's get oriented again. You want to rotate the whole hip so that the latch is facing the top of the vehicle. Untab the latch, which will allow you to bend that leg back. Then close your latch back up. And then slide down on that hip joint that we talked about so that it sits nicely in that little pocket. And we'll go ahead and untab this as well. Let's go ahead and do that on the other side before we go much further. You can extend the hip now if you'd like. And rotate the foot 180. And then rotate the whole foot in 90. Rotate at the hip so that you see the latch facing forward. Untab the latch. Good grief. Easy for me to say. Let me get a little bit more something sturdy here. Yeah, that overcame it. And then that will allow you to bend out. Then you can close the latch back up and then sit the hip down inside of itself so that it looks like this. And then you can untab this foot as well. So then we've got to collapse the backpack basically back down. These should be angled a bit more towards the back, I believe, to give yourself plenty of room here. And it's a matter of collapsing these hinges in such a way that allows you to bring all of this down and sit. You'll know you have it right if it sits basically flush at the front with your winch. Just keep this open here, and we're gonna open this up, right? These pieces will come along and sort of start tabbing in everywhere, as you might expect. And same on this side. You know, and it's just sort of a matter of getting it all sorted. The back pieces will tab in. I don't have this quite right, do I? There you go. There, that tabs in underneath the hood. And then that sits around the front of the grill. And then this tabs in the back. The rear of the vehicle comes down and tabs into the back, and then the bottom of it swings around and tabs in there. And then you just have to, one already rotated up. This one, just rotate both of those up on both sides. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. And there it is. Rubber tires, rolls like a champ. Nice chrome on the wheels. It's fully painted, very plain, but fully painted. No detailings on the front of the vehicle, which I don't care for. With the silver grille, I mean, like here, right? Like no kind of accents, lights, brakes, all that kind of stuff that I kind of like in a real world looking vehicle. But other than that, looks good. The windshield wipers up there, all on point. You know, nothing spectacular, but it forms the kind of shape, and then it has that sort of base beige paint on the outside. And I like the general look of the vehicle. Like, it looks a little bit more realistic than the cartoon. I just wish it had a little bit more kind of paint accents and stuff to sort of make it pop. That being said, there he is next to Tiger Tracks. So there you have it. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives, and they are as follows. For one, I am having some paint scratching, specifically where the hips rotate to sort of collapse to get them out of the kind of packaging mode into the proper robot mode. No wonder they packaged them like that, and I do appreciate that. However, it would be nice if the paint didn't chip. If you listen to Shop Talk, if you know, you know, then you'll remember us kind of having conversations, and there's plenty of figures out there that come painted that don't have these sorts of issues, and Fanstoys is no longer a rookie. They're established, they're really good at what they do, and they should kind of fine-tune that a bit, I believe. Not the biggest deal in the world. It is minor scratching, but it is there. My other only issue are tolerances in regards to articulation joints. I'm not sure if that head is supposed to rotate inside of that box, but I believe it is, so to speak, and it is far too tight. My knees are a little too loose. My biceps are a little too tight. You know, stuff like that. Just inconsistent tolerances, inconsistent tension amongst the joints throughout the robot. It also, to be fair, is from that same era of Fanstoys that I was pretty critical of with the lack of articulation. Everything is pretty much 90 degrees across the board. 90 degree knees, 90 degree elbows, 90 degree shoulders, like just 90, 90, 90, 90. Luckily, they've kind of started growing past that, which I do applaud, recognize, and appreciate, but it still has to be mentioned from this era. Positives wise, it's pretty much a checklist of what Fanstoys is known to do and do best. Sculpt on the money, paint on the money, materials on the money, appropriate accessories. It's pretty much the bare bones of what makes Fanstoys good. It just doesn't have those components of what makes Fanstoys great. But it's a decent figure. It's a good representation of the character. You're not likely to see a whole lot more representations of the character, in my opinion. So if you're interested in the character, I can recommend this one as much as I can recommend any. I have no regrets with my purchase. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.